Welcome back to the Glaze Studios Oil Painting Tutorial. I'm Gomati Sivasankaran and we are in class 29 of the large canvas painting Ardhanareeshwarar painting, half man and half woman, feminine and masculine energies at its best. And in a way, it's a completion of universe. We have been working on this painting for a while now and maybe coming close to the completion. Not really in this class, but yes, we are coming close to the finish line. So let's quickly go over what we have done so far. So we started out with this empty canvas, 80 by 60 centimeter canvas, and started to do a wash the first layer, and then we did the referencing, gridding, placing the superstructure of the key characters, and then coming back to the second layer, which was blocking. The third layer was in a way giving a little bit of dimension into the blocking that we did, and we further depth gave depth and dimension to the same layer in layer 4. Layer 5 is working on nuances, but also you would have seen that throughout these layers I have never stopped myself when I thought, okay, there is a need for correction. So corrections play a vital part of this game in a long journey like this. We tend to evolve, and as much as we can, we want to do justice to the painting. Yeah. So that's also something that we saw, and the last session was also about you know finishing up with the animals and doing a little bit on the jewelry. Today's session is also going to continue a little bit on the jewelry. We are done with the jewelry kind of, but then it lacks a little bit of the 3D impact. I think we miss a little bit of darkening in those edges and giving it those nice little brittle effect. It would not take that much time, I hope. So we will do that correction, and then it isn't a correction, it's just an enhancement. And then I was looking at the line one more time. Does it need any correction? Not a big thing, but few strokes that could go a little better, I would say. So yeah, we will work on that as well. And once that is done, yeah, we will, yeah, anything jewelry and the lion. And once that is done, we will say that we are done with the key characters as such, and then we can start working on the background, and let's see how far we are able to reach with that in today's session. Yes, with all that, I think I need to remember to push this to the front. Yes, good. And yeah, so right now you see more of the Shiva Shakti picture, and we are going to work on gold, isn't it? So we have talked about gold many times, so I don't think there is a need for further explanation around the gold here. I am going to take a bit of gold. And to that, I will add a bit of burnt umber because I only need the darker version of the gold and not the lighter version of it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of burnt umber to just darken that gold. Um, yeah, and I think that is enough for me to work with. Yeah, so nothing big in terms of color mixing. Uh, just a bit of darkened portion, and I could also test it a little bit here in one of the corners, so it could be even darker, I think. So I'm also checking what kind of dark I want it to be slightly darker than what you see here. I think it is right now. It's darker, so this is fine. So this is what I wanted to check. Okay, I like standing and painting as well, so I'm going to do that a little bit and then I'll sit down. Your camera, you are able to view. Let me just Down a bit, yes. So I'm going to work only on the contour, slightly increasing the depth there, giving that contour in a effect of darkness there. So not too much, ever so lightly adding that, so it gives the darkness there. I think it was missing from, I don't know, when we did layer 4, we could have done it, or, I think it doesn't matter. Yeah. So we just do it now. So this angle is now giving slight darkness there. Even in her jewelry that she is wearing in the ear, there should be, some darker sections here inside where, one cannot see much. And even in the jewelry that Shiva is having, there should be a little bit of darker tonality there. That was missing, and I just want to add a little bit on the ear as well. The jewelry on the ear. I think this is fine. This we took care of. Okay. It's all minor, but it does make sense to finish it up nicely. Um, yeah, good. And we could have done without it as well, but I would rather prefer to, give that effect, yeah, wherever needed, because there is something missing. It looks a little flat. Um, these are tiny nuances, but they will, add value to a greater extent when we, take it a little seriously. I'm going to bring the camera down. So the focus is on the jewelry here. So I'm just bringing that, all the jewelry. I'm just adding a slightly darker gold tonality underneath, or over on top, depending on where exactly it is. Again, the same logic of light and dark. It is nothing totally, new to us now. So remember, I made these things as dots. They were like circles that we made in one part of the jewelry. So if you have made tiny circles just like me, also remember to keep that, circular shape in mind, and do it circularly accordingly. Yeah. So you don't want it to have a straight line or something else. If you have made a circle, then let it be the circle that it is. Yeah? Okay, so this holds good here, and I want to work on the last row of jewelry on her neck. Okay. It also has a slight circular angle, so I'm just giving that slight curve. Mhm. Yes, nearly there. This. Okay, now I am mixing a bit more of the color. I think I need a little bit more. Also, remember that we are tending to load a little bit, on this. So it's not like painting. So you tend to use a little more than needed. Huh? So, okay, I'm going to do this the top side a little bit and also the bottom curves nicely. Yeah, this looks okay now on the hands. I'm adding it only around the contours where there is, possibility that it's slightly dark. That's it. It's done here. I'm going to work a little bit on the clothing area as well, enhancing those circles further, and also giving it a very nice brittle effect on the brim of it, the edge of it. It's usually not a perfect cut, just like the way we have our clothing that we could be wearing a t-shirt or something. It is usually not like that. It's got a, what do you call, kind of brittle end to it, because of the gold texture. It will never be a soft, straight line, if I may say so, for a cloth like that. So I want to give that brittle effect also. Be sure of that. Okay. Nice. So I have given that brittle effect on the borders, the silk borders of her clothing, and also on her blouse, the borders of her blouse. I'll come down to her clothing here. So I think we need to push the thing up here, so you're able to see a bit more here of what I do. It's the very same thing, yeah. So I'm just adding a little bit of brittle here. It's a very tiny impact that you're creating, but sometimes, such tiny measures, it might not look like, it's adding value in the beginning, but if you just take a look at it from a distance, you'll see that, even every single tiny drop that you would have made, adds up to something there. So I'm also doing it for the foot, nothing big, so I'm not covering it totally. So it's the same. Okay, I think I am done with the gold now. I'm ready to move on to done with the gold here on Shakti's side. I'm ready to move on to the gold on the Damaru. Yes, and also on the, yeah. So let's add that. We did use the darker tonality there, isn't it? So I'm adding gold there and giving it that punch, that effect. Yeah. And wherever we added the darker tonality in the last session, I think we could use it again to use the gold. So it's going to help to enhance further. Okay, add the darker tonalities of of this gold also to the stick, which we enhanced a little bit in last session. I think we could also continue doing that. Just not to totally adding the gold everywhere, but just, letting it shine a bit. So you're just giving it one stroke there, just like the way we gave the white stroke there. Yeah. So it's going to look like, there is something shiny out there. Yeah. Nothing too fancy about it. It's just the stroke that you're giving. So it tends to look like, is it gold or is it a steak or what is it? So you just create that impact. That's it. Huh? I'm moving down further. And here also the focus shifts to, okay, when I'm done with this, there is this gold work to be adjusted also to the gold here. I think we did this one a little better as compared to the others. So I'm just gonna, it doesn't look that bad. It does have a dimension to it, but still adding a little bit of it. See, it does make a difference. Hmm. And then to the circular notes that we added. There, nearly there. Mm. The last ring. Yes, and I'm adding a bit more of the darkness here on those edges where you the contours could go dark. Okay. We have already done some of it in this case, I can see. So it doesn't look that bad as compared to what I felt in the case of Shakti's jewelry. But still, I'm just giving it in one more fine touch here. So it's looking good. Good. Okay, I think we are done with this here. Ready to move on to the adjustments to the line. And you might say, okay, when are you going to be fully done with this line? Hmm. I'm going to take a bit of yellow ochre. Um, to just give that ear a completion because it is missing somehow. It is it's missing its value, huh? A little bit, just enhancing it. So this is a tiny moment, but then it does make a difference. And another thing that I noticed is that after reviewing it, that there has to be angles of strokes coming in this way, which we are missing. So we are going to add a bit of titanium white to yellow ochre. Remember the shade that we created for these strokes here. I want to use that and bring down these, cross lines. Yeah, I think that was what is missing. Somehow it felt like the angle wasn't, it's too fluffy there. Yeah. So I wanted some more angles to come across there. And then we could also give some darker angles as well, like that. It's just few lines, few strokes, but it is making slight difference here. I want that. Yep. So moving on to a little bit of burnt umber. Mixed with black. I think that's what we did, isn't it, for the darker effect, the darker hair strands. So going over it, I think I need few more whiskers also now. I see it. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Just few strokes, but it does make some difference here, huh? Yes. It looks fine. All right. It's hard to say stop here, but yes, we'll have to do that somehow. Hmm. Okay. I guess that is it. Now we are ready to start working on the background, I think. Hmm. I'm adding a little more gold in some place, whatever I feel where, because I have wasted some gold. It's not that I need to, it's a nice to, just want to use the gold that is here. I'm just trying to refill some of those places, nothing big. Yeah. So, okay, done. So let's get to background work and let's see how we are doing with the time. It looks good. The background work for the mountain. Remember, there are three parts here in this background. And the first thing is that we are focusing on the mountains and the part that is up above the sky. I think we will just call it complete with the layer 4. So the focus is now on the layer 5 of the mountain only. When the mountain, I just wanted a really dark kind of bluey edge in the corners, and then I want some more white flake highlights on the top just to build it, build the scene. So we used, if I remember correctly, it was ultramarine blue that was used. Blend in a little bit more of oil, so it's just a little bit on the flowy consistency, just the way we did it for for the layer 5. What do we do? Similar to that, nothing big. And to this I am adding a bit of black as well, so I want it on the darker side of this blue. It is still ultramarine blue, a tiny bit of black added, that's it, nothing big. So it's slightly on the darker side. Yeah, and I want to use zero brush to ever so lightly go over those edges, contours. And I think you can see this here as an example. And I will bring that color also down so it doesn't look like only that tip is, like that. So I have kind of created a dark, hilly impact here. So it kind of goes in the back, just like the way it has to. It's a background, isn't it? So you can use other brushes also. I'm just sticking with my brush number 1. No changes at all with the materials. I think this is good enough. I am just going on using this to refine those edges. And then we will work on building that color into the spaces as well. So not worry if you start feeling like it is only the contour. So and it looks a little artificial in the beginning, and it does. But we will slowly build it inside as well. So I'm slowly building a little bit inside, but we will come to that also quickly. There's another contour here. Good. And I will go ahead and do the same thing on the other side where, right behind Shiva. Mhm. Okay. You don't want it to look perfect on the edge. So yeah, I'm just giving a creasy, kind of edge. Um, yes. And also remember the sides of the canvas, because this mountain range is also, building on to the side of the canvas. That's how we have designed it. Yeah. Okay. it's done. So what I'm going to do is to take another brush. I'm looking for yeah, a flat brush. It's even helpful to just bring that color in, kind of making it blend in to the contours, and maybe adding it a little bit like a part of those flakes, snow there. So this is easy. Just be careful, you don't want to spoil anything here. So don't make large moves. Everything is just close to each other, isn't it here? So let's blend it in a little bit, and it is looking really shiny. The ultramarine blue is, yeah, it is good. Okay, I'm missing one of those nice edges here. Yeah, on the sides as well. So we are done with it. And now we are going to take a bit more of the titanium white to do a fine dose of white here. Hmm. And I'm going to use the same brush. So it's going to mix up a little bit with the blue. And it will look natural. Yeah. To have a little bit of that blue going in all directions. I've taken a little bit of titanium white, and I'm going to load this brush, which already has a bit of ultramarine blue, and do a fine one more load of paint. So it's just loading the paint one more time and going over it. And if it catches that blue, that is fine. Yeah. So loading that paint over. In some places, I just want it to look totally whitey, so I'm just loading a little more and throwing it away. And some places I'm just, pushing it to blend in with the blue, such, yeah. So it looks, a little more whitey in one section and flaky in one section and so on. So that's how we are trying to build that storyline here, Okay. So this is a quick work. You just gauge where you want to, and if you are following a different method to highlight things, it's perfectly fine. Just be very sure that it doesn't start overpowering in a way that the mountains look more pronounced than the key characters here. um Yeah, mountains are natural beauty, and if you are so much good with nature, just like what I've mentioned about the lion or the animals, somebody could be a specialist in nature, somebody could be a specialist in animals. You say, this is my zone, this is my forte, and I'm going to play around doing it in my own way. It will be really good to do that, but just keep a balance, ecological balance of everything looking equally good. Uh, so it could be that you do the expertise in the animals and you do it equally for Shiva Shakti as well. So everything looks equally awesome. So that's also possible. But just don't get too much carried away into the details that you are, making one thing look totally attractive than the other. Then the focus is just shifting only to that space. We don't want that. I think this loading is good enough. I don't need another load. I'm going to check the sides one more time. This side is fine. I'm able to see the other side. Yeah. Yes, nearly there with this. I think I'm going to make a stop with this um, adjustment. It looks um, I need a little bit more of titanium. Sorry, blue, the ultramarine blue to go around in some places so it doesn't look totally weird. I'm adding it in some places. Okay, it's also a good thing to yeah. It's also a good thing to do that. Uh, you know, take a little bit of ultramarine blue in the zero brush or a brush number one or something with oil so it's even lighter and go over those contours nicely. But you need to blend them in also, remember. Otherwise, it start looking really awkward there. So I'm just doing one of the contours and I'm going to show you what I'm doing after this, This contour is looking manual here, definitely, because I have built it now. But I think we need to blend it in ever so lightly with this brush that is still having a little bit of white here. Yeah, so it's helpful in my brush. If it has white, it's fine. If it doesn't have white, it's also fine. It'll just give a good contour there. You see that it's now a little better, giving darker blues in some areas. Yes. So these contours really matter. It is missing somehow, and I'm just refining them. Blending them in so it doesn't look totally, awkward there. This looks fine. You can add a bit of white if you want to balance it out somewhere. So I'm doing it. So you can play with the color. So I think I took care of this contour fine. This one. Ever so lightly. You don't want it to look too much obvious there also. So just use the tip of the brush. That's why I said, a zero brush or a brush number one. Anything that is, only the tip of it can help you navigate is good. And you don't want that line to show as well. So I'm just blending it here, adding a little more of white and topping it up like that. Mm. So it doesn't show that it was adjusted there. Mhm. Fine. This contour is taken care of. I don't want to work on all the contours. There's some of them that need a little bit of, mending, especially around the bulls area. That's why I had to, yeah. Um, on this side, it looks already, natural, taken care of. The other side, it doesn't much. So I had to, yeah. It's also because the bull is, off white and we have a white background. We just want to make sure that the head of the bull, the important aspects here are clearly visible. I think this is now looking better on this side, and I'm just making sure that these contours are also equally darkened. At this stage we would not have to work on the contours, but we'll have to look at them uh, from the point of view of if we are missing anything. um, Fine details to just make sure that, and sometimes you might see that the color is already there, that for you to just enhance it a bit here and there, not too much. So I'm just doing that for the contour of Shakti. The lion, I think it has to be natural. There is hair strands, and that that is perfectly fine. I'm not worried too much about that. I think this one was the area to be focused on, and it looks like we have managed that. Yeah, yes, good. Okay, fine. I think I will make a stop with the mountain now to proceed the next thing. That's going to be, we will get started with it, but I think we will be able to complete it only in the next session. Um, so what is it going to be? So these are green grass, and what else do you want? There are rocks, isn't it? We built rocks. So do we do the rocks one more time to refine those rocks and make them look popping out and coming up strong? So I'm taking surprise burnt umber and I'm using it raw. I can take and mix it with the black. That's also going to help. So I'm building on those rocks one more time. I think we just place those rocks without any kind of detailing in 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 the previous layer. So right now it's going to be a little more on those, you know. Good. Okay. What we are doing is that making them looking plain right now, so it doesn't seem to have any dimension to it yet. I'm just doing that right now, and once I'm done with that, I'm going to add a bit of dimension to those rocks as well. Yeah. Yes, 10th dimension comes for everything. That includes these rocks as well. So wherever I had placed those rocks, I'm just working on them with burnt umber mixed a little bit with the ivory black. Yeah. Let me move this slightly here so the focus shifts downwards. Okay. So filling them in. More rocks to go, I guess. Yes. Done. And to this, now I want to add a bit of dimension. So what I'm going to do is to add a little bit of titanium white and blend it in some of the places where I want the highlights to happen. So again, I'm playing it around the place where I think there will be a bit of light coming in. So I'm just choosing to show some of it, blending that titanium, but I'm not taking too much. It's only on the tip. And I know that the canvas is wet with that, um, with the burnt umber. So it's just blending in there and just creating a slight impact there. Yes. And let's do that on all the rocks here. I'm just trying to give only one angle to it. Not too much, not too much of white. We don't want it to look totally white right away. We can think of some depth to it. Maybe after we have done the grass, if we think it needs a little bit of highlighting, we could do that. Um, okay, and this one is not a rock. This is my hand thumb impression, so I'm not working on it. So this has to be dry, and we will have to sign it also, isn't it? Okay. So that was the darker part of it. I'm taking only ivory black in my brush and going over the contour one more time. One of those, sides is dark, the other side is lighter. So the ones where we used the titanium white, the opposite side of it, can we just try to darken it or give it another dimension there? So it's already got a darker thing, so it's going to even enhance that darkness further. And I'll have to check the other side if we have rocks there on the other side as well. Yeah? Did we have one? No, not necessarily. This one has a little bit here. I'm adding that a little bit of white here to lighten it up. Yes, there is one here only. Not too much. Good. So coming back to this, where all should I add the black? Again, it's a rock. You decide the shape that you want to have it and how, pronounced you want to have it, so on. I don't want those rocks to be totally big and taking totally attention away from, the key characters. So place them nicely. So the dark tonalities are also done. Let's look at how we are doing with the time. Okay, good. What we could do is to get started with some strokes of grass, and then we will make a stop, and then we can continue that in our next session. Um, so I'm going to make a start of this with olive green, and I have also burnt umber to be added to this olive green. Why? Yes, we want it to be on the darker side. You can add black also if you want it to be even darker, so it's up to you. I'm using burnt umber, and it is giving me a darker tonality. That is fine, and I'm checking once how will it look if I make a stroke like this on the darker space. So I'm just testing it here, and it looks fine. It looks dark enough, um, and it's not totally black, so that is perfect for me here. So I just wanted to check that. I'm just using that on the contours also to see how it is, looking when I come close to the contours of the animal. Yeah. So I tested it and this is fine. So I'm going to stick to this color and make some strokes that will give an impression of wild grass. So it's going to be just strokes going across and wanting it to be, what do you call, on the lighter side, as in you don't want really strong strokes there. You want it to go close to each other, but at the same time, not like straight lines. You want it to look like they are bending a little bit, just like grass does. So, and crisscross in groups. Um, so you play around with it, make tiny spots, tiny specks. You don't want it to be totally long also when you look at, the expanse. So you want it to be tiny here. You want longer ones that is coming close to the foot here. So I would really stick to more of tiny specks here. Remember, we did the darker green and the little lighter green. That's also a reason why we split it further into two here. So we want to use that logic. So remember to do small little strokes, not totally big, bending a little bit. Mhm. So that's exactly what we are going to continue doing in our next session. Let's see. This is going to take a while to work with, but with this we will be finished. And then, of course, we have the signature to do. In the next session, we could do all these things. So I'm going to make a stop So you could continue playing around with this and also meet us in the next, meet me in the next class. So making a stop here. Um, and yeah, you could, maybe you're not able to see it even, it's shining, I think. Yeah. I will focus on this in the next session and show you a little better. Yes. Let's make a stop with this. So today's session was about um, nuances, corrections, a little bit, nuances and corrections in all other spots, especially on the jewelry and the trident and damaru and so on. And then we did a little bit uh, on the lion. We got started with the background. We have worked on the background, the mountain background already. So that's what we have done. And this is how it looks right now. And let me push this away so you're able to see a little better. Yep. So that's how it looks right now. And we are only missing the background of the grass. We started out a little bit. We did the rocks, but we are going to work on the grass in the next session and possibly complete it with the next session. So the next session will focus on the signature and the grass and be done with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the next session. But before we close this, as usual, do remember to write to me with your comments, feedback, your concerns, and anything, inquiries, anything that you would like to ask. At support at theglazestudio.tk. Also remember that you can ask for specific help with respect to understanding any single specificity, or if you have concerns about your painting being way off the grid, you can also share that. But provided, it will be very helpful for me to give you a good direction if you also add it with your picture of where you are with the painting. Yes. Okay. Stay blessed, stay happy, stay motivated. We are nearly close to the wrap. Yeah, coming close to the touchdown. So just be there for the next session and let's complete this together. See you. Bye bye.